Hi, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Oh, look what we have there. Pineapple. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you, Marijke. How are you?
Good. Well, let me just turn my volume up a moment, just so I can hear everything, because I always have it super quiet on my phone. There we go. I think that's going to be better. So yeah, welcome everybody. We are here today for Maak's first Maak Monday, which is a new series of talks and discussions that we're doing on Instagram Live on the first Monday of every month. And really, we're just going to be inviting makers, collectors, writers, curators, or anyone really who's got any kind of interesting perspective on collecting ceramics. I'll let Kate pick the phone up. Yeah, just having discussions about collecting contemporary ceramics. So we're going to be doing this on Instagram Live so that we can also open up the discussion to questions to our audience as well. So if you do have any questions towards the end, then just kind of jump on and message us with a question and we'll see what we can answer. So yes, welcome, Kate. We are really thrilled to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us for the first Maak Monday. And yeah, how are you doing?
I'm very good. There's a problem here because there's a pineapple that keeps drifting onto the camera.
A flying pineapple. I know that's one of the few pieces that you've kept there for now, haven't we? Because we've got lots of the cheap pieces from the charity auction that we'll talk about. We've got a few of them up behind me here on our shelf. But you've kept that one for yourself just for a little bit longer, haven't you?
Well, this is a wall pineapple, yeah, that I did an Indian project, a charity project for during lockdown. And I did it in 3 sizes. But we do have a Kate Malone pineapple.
We do, in the charity auction. Yeah, exactly. So what have you been up to this morning, Kate?
Well, we've been unpacking the kiln and getting ready to glaze. It's always so much work once the pieces are finished to grind and pack and measure and everything. So, and it's always quite intense. I'm going to show you the kiln. Maybe you can see it through there.
Oh,
And so it's sitting quite empty because we've been unpacking everything all over this. You can see there's pieces all around wrapped in the dreaded cling film.
Looking very full. And so this is your studio in the countryside, isn't it, rather than your London studio?
It is. It's in Kent, and for the first time in my life, after 30 years of working in London, I've got a bit more space than I've had. So,
and how's that changing what you're doing? Having that space, are you making bigger pots or just making more of them?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'd like to be making bigger pots. That's why I had the new kiln built. And but I haven't quite got around to it yet. It's just a matter of getting used to a studio. This is the 2nd year. And also during lockdown, I've kept my whole team of assistants employed. And the only thing we could do, because normally we work side by side, I have 9 assistants who work 2 days a week each. They're all artists in their own right, and they work for me. And the only thing we could do was they could take molds home and do what we already knew and make little things that get sent to me by a courier, and I join them together. So the sort of situation has forced lots of new pots, and you can see in the background, I think, some pieces. It's forced sort of more medium-sized pieces, which is fine. You know, I'm hoping to clear after this glaze firings in the giant kiln, 2 or 3 of them. I'm hoping to clear the decks and actually get down to some really big pots again.
Oh, that'd be exciting. But it must have forced quite a different way of making, like you said, just the practicalities, whereas normally you'd all be together and be really collaborative. It's almost, you've gone into a kind of almost divided labour process, I suppose, now, through necessity. How do you find that?
Yeah, it's not collaborative in that everything is strictly under my instruction, but we can be more innovative, if you like. So we can move forward. But of course, I have managed to do it with a weaving, a sort of evolution of woven surfaces.
I saw that. That looked really beautiful, like a basketry work almost in clay.
Yeah, and we've managed to research that because we worked together for years side by side. But again, it's sort of it's not moving forward to new things, it's consolidating the things that we know. And so, I mean, I feel very lucky that I've been able to keep them employed because a lot of them fit through the net of help. And also, I'm very lucky that they help me. You know, it's a very symbiotic thing.
Yeah. It's very mutually beneficial in that sense, isn't it? So everyone wins, everyone wins. So that's all good. Well, part of the reason we've invited you here to talk about today is obviously for those of you who don't know, Kate is an ambassador for Onside and has set up the charity Fired Up For, and Mark is hosting the Fired Up For charity auction. So I thought we'd talk about that a little bit as well, because I think it's such an exciting project, such an amazing project to have been involved in. And obviously you've spoken so much in the past about the importance of maintaining access to crafts and making within kind of the school environment. And so I suppose, imagine that's where your involvement with the Onside charity came on, and bringing those kind of similar opportunities to children who might not be getting it in a school environment. Is that right? How did you get involved with it all?
Well, basically, I think people know that I'm a great advocate for the benefits of craft in education, that being primary and secondary education. And one of my collectors asked me, what my ambitions were, aside from my own work, a collector called Keith Seeley, you probably know Keith. Yeah. And I said, if I'm going to do anything other than my own work and be concerned with my own community of helpers, I want to work with secondary education, because I benefited from the most amazing arts education in a big, rough Bristol comprehensive school that had just I didn't realize it at the time. I thought you take it all for granted when something's put in front of you. But I did woodwork, metalwork, sewing, cooking, and pottery.
Amazing.
And so, I know how brilliant it was that it lit a spark in my abilities. Yeah. And so I'm very keen, because art, and especially ceramics, seems to be squeezed out of secondary education, except when there are brilliant teachers who maintain that. It's my concern to really sort of put back into the system, really. And so it was fantastic that Onside asked me to be their ambassador. They have after school clubs that exist already. There are 14 of them, and they're rather beautiful. They cost £8 million each to build, which puts it into a context in that they have climbing walls as you go in, and they have five-a-side and big gyms and skateboard parks and really lovely music facilities. They're very into rapping and to modern music. And they have art departments, but I felt that, we needed to add ceramics to that. Yeah. Every child has an ability, don't they? And it's just a matter of discovering what that is.
Danger, isn't it? The more you can introduce a child to, the more opportunities they have to find a thing that clicks for them and that they can excel at. So.
And these after school clubs, there are 14 of them at the moment. Most of them are up in the north of England. 3 or 4 of them are in the south, and they're 50p, I think, to go in, and £1 for a hot meal. And so basically children are nurtured and safe, and they have a great place to go after school. It's open when schools are closed, even Christmas Day.
Amazing.
And, basically, they're just wonderful places. They're called Onside, and they are called youth zones. So depending where the youth zone is, we're trying to install 2 studios, one in youth zone Wigan and one in youth zone Chorley.
Was there a particular reason why it was those 2 youth zones, or?
No, it was simply that the man who invited me to be the ambassador is very involved in those. And then I decided I was going to ask 32 of makers that I know professionally in the field. Obviously, there are some star names in our list of 32 makers, and there are some also friends and people whose work I respect greatly anyway. And when we asked these 32 people to join in, and you can see the original film on our website, which is called Fired Up 4, and that's the number 4. Andrew Wicks, the great potter, he suggested you, Marijke. He had suggested Maak as being the right place for us to try and sell these 32 pieces to raise the money that we need.
Well, we were really excited. So, exactly. Well, it's been an amazing process. Obviously, I think you and your team have done a lot of the early work and kind of get it all set up, but to actually kind of bring all the works together and have them mostly all here now and up on the website. So for anyone who hasn't already had a look, if you go onto the Maak website at maaklondon.com, then you'll see that the charity auction is already up with all the lots viewing. There's 33 lots in total, 32 makers and 33 lots. And we've got biddings already open, and yeah, so yeah, bidding's open. We've got some bids placed already, which is really exciting considering there's I think about 45 days still to go. So it's great to be getting some kind of early traction and early interest. So they're really exciting. And any of the pots, if people want to come and see them, we're not quite sure what the pandemic is going to allow us to do in terms of the gallery viewing. We're kind of keeping our options open on that front. But whatever we do, we know that you can kind of contact us and come and arrange a private viewing at our offices anytime as well. So just make an appointment for that. So we just want these pots to be seen and accessible, and they're just such great artworks. The artists have been so generous. It's been amazing to kind of be not just putting the artwork, but the time that goes into that artwork and then getting it here and all the whole coordination side. And it's been a massive, kind of a real gift from lots of people, which has been really wonderful. And lots of people involved, because obviously there's yourself and then there's the team on side and then the artists as well. But I thought Make North is another organisation, is a partner organisation as well, aren't they?
Yes. I mean, one thing is that we are equipping, and Pot Clays, the ceramic suppliers, have been amazing, giving us 2 for 1 and reneging profit on materials and equipment. Yeah. But essentially, you can put a kiln and potter's wheels in a place, but unless the young people are taught or the teachers are instructed, it kind of doesn't go anywhere. So Make North have been absolutely amazing in that they're going to provide support and guidance for the first year at least, of this project. So it doesn't just end with us putting the kilns in.
That's what's so exciting about this. It isn't just about, providing the kit to be able to do it. It's actually the sustainability and the longevity of it that, because it's not just, it's training the staff there who can then continue it on longer term, which I think is just it's why we're so happy to be supporting it, because I just can see so much benefit to what this can bring, because like you say, it's opening up opportunities that children might not normally have. And I don't know, what do you feel kind of how much benefit do you think clay can bring to young people? Because I know there's some really interesting quotes from some of the artists, but what's your view? What do you think specifically clay and ceramics can bring to young people today?
Well, yes. I mean, a lot of the artists have written what they think, and on our website, on the Fired Up number 4, that's all there. But in my eyes, of course, when you get a piece of soft clay and you kind of squeeze it, you immediately connect with the earth. It's a great calming and exciting and invigorating sort of thing to do. But then to witness the making of something and then firing it, so you witness the change, the physics, you actually feel like you're a magician or something, because it's the change from it is actually a change of material from clay to ceramic. And then you glaze it again, and it's just like this miraculous thing. And of course, we're all surrounded by clay in our lives every single day. And yet, for a young person to grasp an understanding of what's involved. So it's magical, it's calming, it's empowering, because they feel clever. I remember feeling clever, I still do, when you open the kiln and this magical change has occurred. And it's emboldening and empowering, really. So, I mean, obviously, we'd love for all these 32 makers to be giving to the makers of the future the spark of that. But at the same time, just to feel creative makes you feel reassured, and it makes you feel clever. And that's empowering to the young today who really need that. And it's a tangible thing. It's not a screen, And so it's a win-win-win thing with ceramics.
I really loved, Felicity Ailiff had a lovely quote about it. So she said, working with any craft can be transformative. Clay in particular can be totally absorbing and take you away from the harshness of life and provide a valuable sense of personal achievement. It can often be the trigger for future creativity, which is important for the balance of our society. And I thought that was a really lovely quote as well. So, it's clear that it's something that anyone who's worked with clay will really understand what a connection it can bring to people. Yeah,
I mean, we've been working so hard, and I think Sakib, my PA, has been putting all and sundry into this, that it's such quite easy to be so busy and not realise what we're trying to do, and it's such an important thing. And Felicity's statement as well, and I think Edmund de Waal made a great statement. Lisa Hammond's statement is extraordinary, but the message is, you know, and anybody watching who doesn't do ceramics, I think we're probably talking to the converted already.
Yeah, true.
You know, and have a go, you know.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, absolutely. So I think really just, I think probably keep it short and sweet, Kate. But I think one of the final questions that I think would be really great to ask you, and it's a question that we're going to be inviting, we're asking all of the guests that come to us is, and join us for Mac Monday, is what would you say was the single most important ceramic item or ceramic artwork for you, and why was it so important?
Okay, well, there's, well, I'm going to get up my ladder and get it.
Yeah.
I should have had it with me. So just give me 1 second. Keep talking.
No problem. No, that's absolutely fine. I hope I don't hear a sudden flash off screen. That would start getting a little bit worrying.
Not going to fall. I got it.
Ah.
So it's very difficult to have one. And actually in my studio, I'm going to turn my camera towards my sort of inspiration area where this piece, which is, it's probably not the best Mojap that I've got, and I have several pieces by him, but I would say the most important thing is my mum bought a couple when my mum was alive from Mo, because he was my tutor and we got to know him. And he gave us a giant piece. We have a full-size figure, but really I would say it's Mojap's work. Mo was my tutor at Bristol Polytechnic back in the early 80s. And then I had 7 years of further education, and he was also taught at the Royal College of Art when I was there. But he was not only is his work so true to clay, and it's, you know, I'm just sort of showing this funny little figure here, but it's so clearly made of clay, and it's so true to the material that it's clay, but at the same time it's a brilliantly observed figure. This isn't one of his best, and his pieces are as if they're made in the past. They could be kind of Egyptian or Greek sometimes if you look at them with one eye. They're very much of now because they're modern in that they show the material so truly. He doesn't try to hide marks that are truly simple marks in clay, but yet they're a mark in clay, and at the same time they're a muscle in a body, or a sort of line down the back and the spine. And they're also futuristic. It's as if they could have come on a space rocket, or they could be of the future. They're very extraordinary. And I know my work, a lot of my work, in fact, thinking about it, I hadn't realized, I make pieces that often look like they're made by different people, because sometimes they're real pineapples, like the piece you have in the auction, or blackberries or artichokes. And other times they're more abstract. They're more about the essence of nature and clay and the life force. And they show my glazes. And sometimes they're very geometric. There's a piece right here on my desk there.
I see.
In a way, they're sort of quite futuristic. I hadn't realized that. That's a revelation. You know, in that they're all about nature, whether they are literally nature or whether they're the abstract sense of nature. And I think probably, I mean, that's very nice to think that Mo and I have that. I think a lot of makers, not all makers, have that feeling where it could be something from the past, very much in the present, and it could be something of the future. And I strive to keep my studio like a playroom. And obviously really serious work goes on, and we have to be really, it gets very intense when we've spent hundreds of hours on a piece, you know, sometimes including the input of my team. So the consequences of losing it and taking a risk when glazing are very great. But at the same time, we try and move forward. And I think Mojap made me always feel like I should experiment and be true to the clay.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, that's a great thought process, and what an amazing thing for these children, hopefully, to be able to have those same experiments and those same kind of challenges that they'll be able to meet. I think it's a really, really great thing to be doing. We're really excited, and so
thank you God so much. I mean, we couldn't be in better hands. I mean, really, for collectors out there who are watching, you know, not only can you buy a piece that the maker has directly given, you know, for this, they've donated themselves to this, and often an auction is pieces that have had a life already, isn't it?
Yeah.
And these are straight from the maker's hand to this charity project. But I just think that this is such a win-win situation. You can buy a piece that's genuinely beautiful and fantastic, but the money that you're spending is going to help these kids. You know, these young people. We're not meant to say children or kids. They're young
people.
But and so to me, you know, the message is, please, you know, get onto the Maak website and please look at the pieces. If you've got any questions, you can ask Marijke, and you can ask us through the Fired Up or through my Instagram. I'm right here every step of the way. And we're hoping that, you know, this isn't going to end at the auction. You know, we're hoping that there'll be other projects to raise funds to put more studios in more places. But also some of the great makers are, you know, prepared to sort of work with the kids and do little work with the young people and do workshops and things. I'm running over. I always chat too much.
No, it's been wonderful. It's been so great. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today, Kate. And I know we'll be speaking a lot. Bye-bye, Mo. And yeah, we will be obviously keeping in touch over the next few weeks with the auction going on. And obviously, if anyone has any questions at all, you just pick up the phone or drop us an email, get in touch in any way. The pieces are here for you to come and view if people want to make appointments to come and view it. And all we hope is that we can raise as much money as possible for such an incredible cause. And thank you, Kate, for getting us involved. We really appreciate it and very excited.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Take care, Kate. Thank you so much.
Bye. 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 Don't know how to come out.